on the floor of the house has said that he is condemning what I have said. He has condemned and he said that he is not agreeing to the 652, Article 652 of the Code of Law, which he shouldn't have said this.
नमस्कार. आजच्या या पत्रकार परिषदेत आमच्या बरोबर असतात काँग्रेस पार्टीचे आमदार अडवोकेट कार्लोस अल्वारिस फरेरा आणि त्याचबरोबर आमच्या बरोबर असा महेंद्र धरवडकर. तुमकां सगळ्यांक खबर आसा असेंब्ली सोंपल्या उपरांत सगळेच आपणाचीच तांबडी म्हणपाक चालू केल्या सगळ्यांनी की सगळ्यांक दिसता की आपणूच हुशार, आपणूच गोंय राखच्या खातीर आपणें सगळें हें केलें. पूण आमी आयज ह्या खिणाक जे आरोप आम आदमीचो आमदार वेन्झी वेगस हांच्यांनी आमच्या रेस्पेदाच्या आमदाराचेर जेका कायद्याचें गिन्यान आसा, जेका असेंब्लीन कशें उलोवंक जाय, कितें उलोवंक जाय हें खबर आसा, जेका गोंयचे सबंद गोंयचे लोक वळखता, गोंयच्या भायले लोक वळखता, अशा आमदाराचेर धडधडीत जे आरोप केल्या त्या आरोपांचें खंडन करपाक, त्या आरोपाचेर स्पश्टीकरण दिवपाक आमी आयज तुमच्या मुखार येयल्ले आसा. आमच्या आमदारान त्याच बरोबर आमचे जे इतर दोन आमदार आसा, आमचो लिडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन एल्टन डिकोस्टा, ह्या तिनूय आमदारांनी बरी कामगिरी आयज बसून आमच्या विधानसभेन केल्ली आसा आणि आमकां तेंचो अभिमान आसा. आणि अशा वेळार जेन्ना तांकां ते पळयता की काँग्रेस खंय तरी लोकांचे प्रश्न घेता आणि ह्याच खातीर म्हाका दिसता वेन्झी वेगसाक खंय तरी दुखले आणि तो आपणाची तांबडी आपूण हुशार, आपूण चड हुशार म्हणून दाखोवन दिवपाक तो मिडिया मुखार येवन आमच्या आमदाराचेर एलिगेशन केलें आणि तो युनिटीचे उलयता, एकचाराचे उलयता, सगळे एक रावंक जाय, आमी सगळे एकठांय रावंक जाय. पूण एकटोच तो सायडीक वचून कितें उलयलो. जर वेन्झी वेगसाक एक युनिटीचे पडलेले असले जाल्यार तो कॅमेरा मुखार येवन, मिडिया मुखार येवन सांगचो नासलो. तो सांगता की युरी आलेमाव तेका प्रश्न करूंक जाय की तो असो कित्याक उलयलो, काँग्रेस पार्टीन प्रश्न करूंक जाय. सो आमी वेन्झी वेगसाक विचारूंक सोदता, तुका जर गोंयची युनिटी आनी ऑपोजिशनाची युनिटीचे जर पडला जाल्यार तुका युरी आलेमाव हो तुज्या त्याच्या कॅबिनान मेळ्ळो ना? कॅमेराच्या मुखारूच येवन तुका कित्याक सांगचें पडलें? मिडियाच्या मुखार येवन तुका कित्याक सांगचें पडलें? जे तुका दुबाव पडले ते दुबाव आमच्या आमदाराक डायरेक्ट तुवें कित्याक विचारूंक ना? जे तुजे दुबाव आसा, जे प्रश्न आसा ते युरी आलेमाव त्याच्या कॅबिनान वचून तुवें कित्याक सांगूंक ना? तूं कॅमेराच्या मुखार, मिडिया मुखार कित्याक गेलो हो आमचो मोठो प्रश्न आसा. आनी हेच्या फाटल्यान तुजें कितें तरी षडयंत्र आसूं येता, तुजें कितें हिडन एजेंडा आसूं येता, होय दुबाव आमकां पडटा. तर मागता आमचे आमदार जेंच्यांनी बरें परफॉर्मन्स दिला तांकां मागता की तेंच्यांनी ह्या विशयाचेर स्पश्टीकरण गोंयच्या जनतेक दिवचें.
Good afternoon to each one of you. I normally don't come to answer everybody's attack on one another or on me. But since a colleague of mine, Venzy Vegas, has made such an outburst and they are trying to play it as if the Congress is bad and I have ganged up or tied up with the BJP, I thought it is most prudent that I should respond, even though there were some people who said, you don't bother, don't take it down to that level. But I thought I should not run away, I should face and I should respond and clarify and know what is the correct position. My standing as a lawyer for over 33 years is well known. The fact that I have also argued certain very important matters which have laid down law and also been published in journals across the country, upheld by the Supreme Court, is also known in the legal circles. The kind of respect I give to the courts and the courts give to me is also known. And I think that I carry that same kind of a decorum when I enter the assembly. I don't have a political background as a legislator. And therefore, I may be having a shortfall or a shortcoming to do things which many others would do. But I'm proud that what I do is for the good of the people and the good of Goa. People have faith in me, my voters trusted me, and they elected me to the house. You know that आमकां election जात्री आमी assembly वयतात तेन्ना लोकां भावार्थ आसा आमी कितें कोतले आमी कितें सांगतले आनी बरे गोश्ट मांडून आमी रेस कोतले सगळ्यांचे इशू आमकां धाडलो ना थिंगा एक ड्रामा करपाक एक नाटक करपाक or फोटी मारपाक. People, not only my constituency and every constituent of every other MLA is watching his MLA perform. The Goan electorate and the Goan citizen, people of Goa are watching. The nation watches, and even Goans overseas and even friends and others who are not even Indian nationals will be watching what we do. So we have a higher sense of responsibility when we step in the August House to put facts right. If you want to tell law, you should tell law correctly. You should not mislead the House, and you should be truthful and honest. Now on this, why did Venzy Vegas get upset? Venzy Vegas and I start the video. He said the request for amendments of the code is by way of Article 652. And Magi Mulla, 1526 2000 शेकड्याचो कोड हे जेचो अमेंडमेंट हाडटो जाल्यार आतां तो आमी हाडून सोदताय. It has to be brought by means of Article 652 of the code, which has not been done in the right manner. आनी हे त्या कोडा हे दाखयला आमी वाचयला. हांवें सीएमान म्हाका इंचारला what is the position on Article 652? आणि तेन्ना हांव उबो रावला. मुगे चान्स नाशिल्लो उलोवपाक, बट हांव उबो रावला कित्याक म्हाका इंचारलें म्हणून. आनी हांवें कायदो तो कितोय सांगला. हांवें सांगला 652 does not come in the way of the House making an amendment. हांवें एडिशनल आनी कितें सांगला. थोडे लोकांक हांवें म्हणलें ना तेका पूण तो कितें समजवतो हांव नेना, कितें आयकला ना हांव नेना. हांवें म्हणलां थोडे लोकांक मनान आसा की कोण कायदो हाडलो तो ते लोकांनी ते सरकारांनी कायदो अमेंड करपाचो. आनी हांवें सांगला फुडें थोडे लोकांक मनान आहा की पुर्तुगेज सरकारान हाडले तो पुर्तुगाल आसपा पडटलो अमेंडमेंट करपाक. तेजेर आरोप केला, तेजेर कांय म्हणना. म्हूण हांवें आर्टिकल 652 तेजेर करेक्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन दिलें देखून तो बेजार जालो. आतां कित्याक बेजार जालो? ती कांय म्हणना ऑन द फ्लोर ऑफ द हावस जाप काडना तेणें. कित्याक हांव सांगता म्हाका दिसता तेगे मनान कांय नाशिल्लें पूण तेगे आसात फाटल्यान बॅक बेंचर ते तेंको जायना चोवपाक दुसऱ्यांचे सक्सेस. तेंगे मनान आजून आहा ते ओल्ड रेजीम तकलेन आहा. आनी ते हांव खरें सांगता हांव कोमनीदार कितले कोमनीदाराचे हांव शेअर होल्डर. मडगांव कोमनीदार आय एम मेजर शेअर होल्डर. वी हॅव so many other Komunidad shares. I am definitely interested in the welfare of the Komunidads. I am not anti-Komunidad. I am not a land grabber. I am not a Komunidad land grabber. So I will never do anything in the interest of the Komunidad. But you must remember, what is Article 652? I watch that tumka magi copy pasun data. Every 5 years in the city of Panjim, on the 2nd of January, a meeting shall be held of the delegates of all the Komunidads to deal with the matters of general interest to them, to foster its progress and propose to the Governor General some measures in this connection. That means, तुमगे कितें problem जाता, तेजे measures कितें आहा तें करपाक सरकारा सांग. So that means they will tell administrator file process को रेस्पॉन्ड कर. This is procedural matters. Inga kaina that this is for amendment of the code. There is nothing which says they shall be consulted or objections invited before amendment of a code. Please understand, a legislature, whether it's the central government or whether it's the state government, can legislate without even asking public opinion. तुम्ही पळयला आसतले बिल्स आहात ते आमक सकाळी बिल दितात सायन्सा पास करतात. लास्ट टाइम आम ऑब्जेक्शन दिलं देखून 2 दीस पयलीं आमकां दिले आमकां म्हण स्टाईल लोकांक पासून बिल कळना. आम फकत डिबेट चलत तेन्ना डिस्कशनान बेगीन वाचतात ते कितें बिल ते आनी मागीर आम उबो रावतात ओपोज करपाक. सो इफ द गवर्नमेंट, एनी गवर्नमेंट can do this, remember this is statute law. When it is subordinate legislation like rules, the statute may say by previous publication, like you are building regulations, that has to be done, amendment has to be done by previous publication. Objections invited and hearing the objections and then considering them. But when it is statute amendment or statute enactment, hinga konache prior consent naka, unless there may be a constitutional mandate, but otherwise there is none. So Code of Comunidad is not a subordinate legislation, it is a statute. So there is nobody's permission required. If Venzy Vegas, who wanted to show the House that this is the law and he has the backing of all those who have given him, I am going to give you a judgment of our High Court. This is in writ petition number 265 of 2015. Tumkam copy dita. It was filed by 7 Gaunkars of Serula Comunidad. These 7 Gaunkars, and the judgment was passed on 1st February 2022. Paragraph 2 asato anvatsta tumka. The petitioners who claim to be Gaunkars, Joneros, Jonkars and legitimate components of the Comunidad of Serula have instituted this petition seeking the following reliefs. A. That this honorable court be pleased to call upon the respondent number 1 to produce before it the records pertaining to the various amendments moved before the Code of Comunidades, including the statements of objects and reasons and record of deliberations, etc., and on perusing the same be pleased to issue an appropriate writ order or direction, thereby quashing and striking down all amendments affected to the Code of Comunidades listed in Annexure D. I am going directly to para 3. Para 5. The pleadings in this writ petition in context of challenge to the validity of the various legislative amendments to the Code of Comunidades are also quite sketchy. The petitioners have not pleaded in precise terms how, according to them, the several amendments they have challenged contravene Part 3. Part 3 kite fundamental rights, or are beyond legislative competence of the state, means state government has no power. In the absence of proper pleadings, we do not think it will be appropriate for us to entertain the challenges to the constitutional validity of several amendments to the code. Para 6 now. So and so, however, refer to the provisions of Article 652 of the Code of Comunidades, which reads as follows. Now go to para 7. So and so submits that for the last several years there has been no compliance with the provisions of Article 652 of the Code of Comunidades since the meeting of the delegates of the Comunidades to deal with the matters of general interest to them to foster its progress and propose to the Governor General some measures in this connection has not at all been held. He submits that the various amendments to the Code of Comunidades should have been made only after such a meeting was convened and held, so that the delegates of all the Comunidades could have offered their viewpoints and inputs on those vital matters affecting the governance of Comunidades. Mr. So-and-so submitted that since this was not done, the amendments to the Code of Comunidades are required to be struck down. At the next paragraph, paragraph 9 was, although we agree with Mr. So-and-so that the provisions of Article 652 of the Code of Comunidades are required to be implemented, we are not prepared to strike down the various legislative amendments to the Code of Comunidades simply because such amendments or the proposed amendments were not considered by the delegates in the meeting that was required to be held in terms of Article 652 of the Code of Comunidades. According to us, that by itself would not be a ground to strike down the legislative measures in the absence of any proper pleadings on how these legislative measures contravene Part 3 of the Constitution or are otherwise beyond the legislative competence of the state. On such a ground, therefore, we cannot strike down the legislative measures. हे आता हायकोर्टान जजमेंट 2022 आन दिला. तो कायदो सांगता. कायदो आसा तेन्ना तो फ्लोर द हाउस कित्याक फोट मारता. Do we elect legislators who will come to the floor of the house? It's an august floor of the house and make false statements completely wrong, and then you get angry because I tell that this is the correct position of law. You are upset with me and making this thing. You say sorry. You say sorry to the house, and you can say sorry to me. I don't even care if you don't say sorry. Apologize to the house for making false statements. Don't try to take umbrage on wrong statements, and false legal propositions which you are saying in the house. Law steel loka, Islam dara daldamun, assembling, foot marbak, and oilan drama korpa, natok korpa bay. It's very sad. And is it only with an intention of trying to portray Congress in a bad light? You make false statements and try to say that only your party is there to save Goa and save the nation? Stop it, I think. There's a time and limit where you can play your drama. There's a time and limit where people can tolerate you. And I think that if you are right, I will say sorry. But when you are wrong, I think you tell the whole world what you are doing is completely false. I also pointed out, that about this amendment, that the government of Goa has the power to amend the code. Why did I say this? Because this is often debated. I didn't say that Venzy had said it. I said there are people who believe. And I didn't accuse him, but he suddenly said, I Sanglamon code amend Portugal was amendment. I think he was not understanding, he was not listening to what I was saying. But what exactly you can hear the recording. I said there are some people who have this belief, and now I will tell you. There is a judgment, which I said I had argued the case and I had won it. Tum kya dastolo? एक very famous gentleman आशिल्लो, शिकाली रावतालो तो, J.J. Rodriguez म्हणून. He was a very strong proponent of Comunidades, strong fighter, very strong fighter, honest man, very good man, and he fought for Comunidades. He filed a petition in his name and as Tony, if I'm not mistaken, of Comunidades of Shikali, this way back in 1996. He filed a petition and his lawyer was Senior Advocate Joachim Dias, first Advocate General of Goa.